Welcome back to another episode of the Black Cinema Experience
Podcast.
I'm your girl, JB.
And I'm Cameron.
And we're back with another exciting episode. This week, we took it back to one of our old-time classics made in 1992, the movie Boomerang. Starring Eddie Murphy, Robin Givens, and Halle Berry as the Slouch. I watched this movie a few weeks ago, and I text Cameron, Cameron, we got to bring this back because this movie is so good, so much better than anything I've seen recently.
So relevant still.
The hoochies are still hoochieing, so I wanted to talk about this movie with Cameron on this platform. So Cameron, with no further ado, tell me, what are your thoughts? We just rewatched it for the first time in a while. What are your thoughts about this movie?
Well, like you said, I've always been a fan of Boomerang, even though it came out way before me.
Okay.
Not giving away my age up in here. Period. But it's such a seeing it with a fresh pair of eyes, and just seeing again, we always talk about Black excellence, but I can't even emphasize how professional everything is, how well the movie's shot, how just how good it is to see successful Black people just living their lives. It has racism doesn't come up once in this movie. I feel they have little conversations about different things, but it's nobody's talking about being oppressed. Everybody's just making money and living their life.
Yeah,
so that's what I want to do. So.
This film was directed by Reginald Hudlin,
yeah.
And 100% everything what you just said, it was shot so well, directed so well. There was not a beat missed, and we didn't have to deal with the white man's oppression or any type of typical story that we see, the typical stories that I hate so much, where we're seeing the same usual narrative of Black people. This is a movie made in 92 where Eddie Murphy is the head of a big company, and then his newest competitor that comes in is who bought them out, which is a Black female in a company. So just seeing those two character profiles, it already sets a high standard.
Exactly.
No one in the movie was a slouch, even the slouches. Everybody was employed. Everybody had something going for themselves, and everybody looked good. So there was no L's to be taken in this film. It really was just a movie with Black people being successful, and I love that. I look for it, and I don't see it enough in movies.
Absolutely, and I just want to take the time to also talk about the fashion that was introduced to us in the movie.
Okay.
I mean, the fashion. They had a helicopter in one scene. This is big. I feel blockbuster-esque budget type stuff.
Right.
That I feel that is kind of goes unnoticed. To see this is a really quality movie, and this is in 1992. This is not a couple years ago. This is almost 40 years ago. So I feel I really do appreciate this movie, and I really appreciate how it sets up Black people looking opulent. But we got to talk about the games being played, and I feel now that's still happening.
You want to talk about the relationship dynamics?
Absolutely.
No way.
Absolutely. Because we see a lot of, I feel so many games being played, but especially with Marcus, Eddie Murphy's character, him being a player, you know. And I just feel I don't know, how do you feel it represents Black love essentially, or just relationships in general?
I think that this movie is a accurate representation of the games that society plays in relationships. They're absolutely unnecessary. Everybody could be straightforward, but instead, in this movie, we see two very grown adults playing the game. And Eddie Murphy is big daddy of playing this game. He comes into the office, everybody is sweetheart, everybody is baby, and then he meets Robin Givens, which is essentially his female karma, who's being sent to him and has him on the phone looking for her in hospitals everywhere, calling around, going crazy, her standing him up on dates, serving him essentially the karma that he's been owed this entire film. And now the dynamic changes, right? So he goes into the office after Robin Givens, and all the girls are laughing at him. Everybody's looking at him. He no longer is Big Daddy. She is exactly the reason why. She's a great representation of why I always say that women are the true alphas. Women are the true alphas. Yeah, no, you got a plan, and you're in charge, but let a woman come in. She's gonna flip the game on you quicker than you could even, quicker than you could blink. Women are the true alphas. So seeing Robin Givens' character turn his entire world upside down was the highlight of my life. Also, Robin Givens was the most beautiful. Banging. She was the perfect little caramel brown, you know, hair perfect layered 90s romantic big blown out type style, but it was weave apparently. And like just fashion to the 10. Okay, like women back in the day dressed up for work with the business skirt suit combo and the pointy toe heel and the stockings, and she was murking them outfits. She was in every outfit. She was killing.
Not one miss.
That big hair, the red lips, the red nail polish. I mean, Robin, I called on to you, and there was a lot of bad women in this movie too. Because Layla Rashawn, I mean, to start us off with her,
had to make her appearance. Another 90s baddie. I also think Halle Berry, like I know Grace Jones, Grace Jones, Eartha Kitt. I mean, they was just Tashina Arnold, not Tashina Arnold. Tisha Campbell.
Tisha Campbell, yeah.
I mean, everybody was killing it. But even though,
facts.
But like you know, they had everybody in there from Martin Lawrence, David Alan Grier, like Chris Rock. So it was just like seeing so many different people, like so many different A-list celebrities in this movie also, and then like all like essentially handling their own, like you know, seeing all these major stars, major blockbuster stars being side characters. I mean, it's crazy, but it's such a like
everybody has a beginning, right? And that's just them at the beginning. That's why they're side characters. Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
But focusing back on relationship, I did want to get into the aspect of when you were saying the women are true alphas, because, but I'm not disagreeing with that statement, but I do think it was. I just feel like for me, it kind of played like a negative stereotype, like it being like it was okay for him to do it all this time, but when it happened to him, he was just able to find true love. Like there's like no consequences to him being a dog the whole time.
You know, I think I see what you're saying.
So my thing is like, so do men have to be dogged out and then go find the woman that's going to help him recover, and it's a happy story? Or I don't know. I didn't like that aspect of like what they were trying to tell me. But like, you can be a dog the whole time and then you still end up on top, falling in love.
That's because you're seeing him being with Halle Berry as him ending up on top, and not him settling for the slouch because Robin Givens broke his heart and was playing Angel. Like, yeah, that's what it really is, because you're considering him being in love with Halle Berry, him winning. Like you're seeing that as a positive.
No, I'm seeing him winning by him being able to find love. Again, maybe I'm being heartless. Like, I'm thinking like out of all the hearts you broke, you get to just go find love.
Yeah, no, it's not fair. You're right. Men don't suffer the proper repercussions for their bad behavior. In this film, he is no different. He literally lost his girl for a couple weeks or whatever, and then got his girl right back. So he did not suffer any real repercussions from being a dog, outside of how embarrassed he was dealing with Robin Givens' character.
Yeah.
Now that to me was the repercussions. That was the punishment, because up until then he ain't never had to call. He called the airports from a payphone. He was at the concert, got stood up, missed out on his tickets and hers, spent the money, called out, called again, called the airport, called the hospitals,
went home,
called 911. That man was dogged in the worst way. She came through and was like, yeah, and he was like, all right, you're right, let's just squash it. So to me, that was like him getting his consequences. But
girls is players too.
Because girls is players too. But it could have been worse though. Like he could have gotten more consequences. Like he could have never. The real consequence, you're absolutely right, would have been for him to never have found love. That would have been a true consequence for somebody who played with women's hearts their whole life.
And maybe I'm being spiteful, but I just feel like that's a very fitting ending for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody, you know, everybody deserves redemption, you know.
But the 90s were all about, you know, male praise or whatever. So they definitely were making sure that he still got his girl at the end of the day. Like, yeah, it's
his movie.
Things have been set up too, so that men don't suffer like the consequences of their actions. So, you know, like he's gonna do it again. Like when they were walking, like the final scene when they're walking down the street and she tells him, "Don't you look back at her." Like that is the recipe of a man who's about to do it again. Whatever he just got in trouble for, he's gonna get in trouble for it again. So there's no real consequence for him. He got his girl.
Like even after all that, you still got a wandering eye. That's crazy to me.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
That's wild. But I mean, yeah, I do understand what you're saying. I do agree with you in that aspect. Like, but what I want to see, just for future reference, I want to see Robin Givens' character like more of her story. Because when I tell you that's a bad mamma jamma,
Okay.
When I tell you that she knows what she wants
because
know what
she
she
should have
don't
got a
want,
spinoff.
like for real, because
her should have been called Frisbee. Okay, if he was Boomerang, her should have been called Frisbee, or I don't know what.
because
But she was owed her.
But I also
own.
felt like it wasn't different. It was different because again, she wasn't playing with him as in like I'm just trying to get sex from you and then move on. She was playing for him like, you know, we're having fun here, you know. And I told you at the beginning what this was. I'm your boss. You know, so I feel like it was different. That's a different. But I'm saying I feel like that's a different dynamic than me like, oh, let me see, because I was just, that was his whole MO. He was trying to see how fast he can bag her, because he's so used to getting girls, you know, in 1 or 2 days, and then when he comes across Miss Givens, like, and he can't get her, but then when he finally gets her, she's like, you know, not even necessarily playing him, she's being upfront. She just got that, you know, some people say it's that dog in her, but I feel like it wasn't negative because she was telling him what he was about to get into.
But overall, like the whole karmic principle of the story is great. You know, he dogs women. He gets dogged by a woman. He meets a nice girl, and then he no longer goes for his natural dog ways. Like the whole premise of the story is that he evolved as a character, which makes the storyline really exceptional because we look for characters to evolve. Even Holly Berry's character evolved because she had to go from the meek, quiet girl to someone who, I'm just going to speak in for Marcus, to, hey, you're not going to tell me what to do. I didn't tell you to quit your job. Like, she had to evolve as a character as well. Robin Givens, she didn't do any evolving as a character, you know?
Because she was that girl.
Because she was that girl. And those girls don't need to evolve. But speaking of those girls, Grace Jones, right? She had a role in this movie. And she played her role.
She played
in this movie. Yeah, yes, she did. Estrange. Strange, that's what it was.
It is.
Strange
she was. But she looked so good doing it.
I was just here for the scenes where she was making everybody stare at her pussy. Because that to me sounded like the funniest reenactment that could have ever existed. Lifting her leg up in a restaurant and telling him, who wouldn't want this pussy?
Exactly.
Look at this.
Resist? No man can resist.
First off, I've dreamed about that confidence. I've dreamed about having that type of power.
Who doesn't?
But also, like, yeah, she was a remarkable woman of her time. Like that scene with her coming in the helicopter, as you mentioned, but with the men that were carrying her, all being white, and she, a black woman, in 1992, whipping these white men. And this whole film, there are certain moments in this film are so comedic, so about the outrage. You know what I mean? So just seeing her do that to them, I just know that at that time there was a public outrage. Like, why is that? Why are those white men being whipped by her? What are you guys trying to say? There had to be someone that had that question.
Of course.
Had to be.
But I love what I really like about this movie. I feel like they gave men and women a seemingly even playing field, because there were so many powerful women in this movie as well. Like when you think about Eartha Kitt's character, well, she said she was, you know, the face or owner of the company. She wasn't, but she was still a rich woman. Like, you know, and Grace Jones' character, Strange. But like, even though she was like so outlandish, she knew what she wanted, and she always, you know, fought for what she wanted. Yeah. And I thought it was also pretty cool. And then Robin Givens' character, and it was just like so cool to see this, like these dynamics, because, you know, Marcus is supposed to be the man, and it's such his story, but he's also highlighting these different women that are really powerful and, like, you know, just like really aware of themselves.
Yeah, that's true. There are powerful women in the story, but we do have to acknowledge that this is 92. And that when we had those moments where the character would process information, Marcus had the support of his friends. We didn't get to go into any of the female stories for their understanding. Yeah, we saw Holly Berry get a better job, but we didn't see her process the emotions of being cheated on. Yeah, we see Robin Givens go through her shit with Marcus and her being mad at him and then them being cool, whatever. But we don't see her processing that behind the scenes. Marcus, with all of these women, goes to his friends. And he has a sit down with his friends, and he talks to them about the flaws that the girls have, or whatever problems that he found with them. There's this moment for him to be a whole person as a character, but none of the women had the opportunity to be more of a whole person. Because Holly Berry's character, for me, was pretty shallow, outside of the, like, okay, I get it. She took him to the kids so she could teach the art classes. That all felt very random to me anyways. She came over for Thanksgiving. Are you Thanksgiving with your coworkers? Probably not. You know, but I guess if you guys can fit that in, cool. Like, there was just, to me, Holly's only purpose was to float around Marcus. She didn't have any other type of motivations in the film. And then Robin Givens, I mean, her character too. I mean, she was a dog. She was a dog, essentially, a female dog serving him karma. But what was their backstory? You know, I think in the 90s, women weren't getting much of a backstory. Their purpose served to inflate the main character's ego or his sense of self or his moral clock or whatever. So,
which only made sense because again, Eddie Murphy wrote this story, and there are so many men in the writing room, especially at this time. Women don't really have a say,
right?
And it's, again, a lot of it is from a male's point of view of, like, you know, what these women are experiencing. Which I appreciate with films now, because we do get to see women filmmakers. We get to, you know, see women's point of view, because they're more than half of this world's population. So we should know how they think, you know, about certain things, about how they think about periods, or how they think about, you know, women's issues, not what women think about women's issues. So I definitely agree with that. Like, again, it is 92. It's not necessarily an excuse, because there are really good movies that I feel like came out later. Like, I feel like Two Can Play That Game. I think that's maybe early 2000s.
And that gave us all women perspective.
But it gave both, but it gave, you know, much perspective about how to play the game, you know, and how to get your man to act right. Which is, I mean, something that everybody struggles with now.
Right. What a weird trend for the 90s.
Yes.
For there to be so much information in movies and TVs about how to play the game. It's like, when I was born, I've always thought that games were just so childish and juvenile. I've never understood the point of playing a game, like the cat and mouse, the make him chase you. I've always thought that was so redundant when we can all just be honest with each other. And to see these movies, like this whole era of movies, all about this is how you play the game. And then at the end, everybody ends up with their person, you know, their spouse. And it's just like, what an interesting concept that's what they were really living and eating off of at that time. Versus now, where, I don't know, the game is different now. I don't even know what the game is now.
Well, I'm saying, is there really a game in life? I feel like people, I mean, I know people say the term playing games, but it's like, what does that entail? Like, are they really doing that cat and mouse chase? Like, I'm going to act like I don't like him, but I really like him. Then I hope he finds out.
And that is, that would be, to me, that is the most insane concept. Like, oh, I'm going to make you think that I don't like you. That's such a strange thing to do. But in these movies, you learn that that's the only way. Like, Robin Givens had to give him the I'm laughing at you. That was pathetic. I'm so mean, for him to be interested. She had to come over and play him to the left just for him to care. So to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, that whole era was about that. And I just... Yep.
Not a fan.
I hope that died off, but from the way that My Love Life looks, it seems like that's probably still the way that they do it, and that's why, you know, why your girl's single.
I mean, it's okay.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
You got it. We out here trying. Okay. One day,
doing the best that I can. The time will come. For sure.
No, but again, I do love that this film did bring up, I think, so many important aspects, especially about when you start to really hone into, like, being black, but not worrying about the oppression stuff. Again, there's a time and a place for that. We know it's 24/7. We know what's going on.
Right.
But when you're not thinking about that, you're thinking about your love life.
Right.
Hopefully. I mean, you don't have to think about your love, but I'm saying think about your career.
Yeah.
Think about these things, about how to make some money in this capitalistic system.
Yeah.
You know, and you want to enjoy yourself. So seeing these movies about you enjoying yourself and just, I feel like, the other stuff, you know, the other important stuff, I just love seeing it.
Yeah. And this movie had to be, this movie was great because we didn't have any forced teaching moments, right? You know, like, and I get what you're saying. We bring it up often. You know, when you're watching something and then you see the cop harassing the black kid, it's like, we get it. Cops harass black kids. Every movie, every story, everything we see on TV does not need to be a moment where we learn about black oppression or any oppression for that matter. Yes, it's important that we keep these things out visible so we can stay and remain aware, but there's a time and place. Like, you know what movies should be the ones that educate you on black history, what shows should be the ones to educate you on the black experience. It doesn't have to be every movie and every show. So I really want to get into more of that fairy tale world anyways, where we're not living to be in the white man's narrative. I don't want to see black stories under the white man's lens.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see the white manager and that's how things move forward. You know, it's like, I mean, I personally want to see everybody represented. You know, I love the black films, but I do want to see everyone culturally represented because I see everybody in the world. And knowing different things about different cultures makes me a more colorful person to talk to.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to have a world where I don't have everybody reflected. So I do love that Boomerang is a very black film. We definitely needed it for that time. Fast forward 20 years, it's time for us to get even more creative. 30 years, oh my gosh. It's time for us to get even more creative and to include everyone, but also include humor without having to force feed people to learn something.
Period.
So annoying. It is. It is.
But for what Boomerang was giving for me, it hit the nail on the head. I was also watching an interview with Eddie Murphy talking about.
Here you go.
I like to watch interviews, but he was talking about like because I think it was Jay Leno.
Okay.
And he was telling him like a lot of people like a lot of people of the majority were a little upset because they were like why are there no white people in your films? He's like there are white people in the film because there were white people in the. He's like but he was like there are spaces where white people aren't the main focus of the story, and I feel like he was saying people of the majority, sorry, where they're not used to seeing that, and for that to be over 30 years ago, to me is wild, and I thought that was very revolutionary, and I just like to see more of it in a natural way, like I saw in this movie,
in a natural way, right? Like let's not force feed the black gay character anymore, because I'm personally tired of the one black gay character. Why can't we
outside of their world?
We can't just have a black or a gay. They always have a black gay. It's not just a black. It's a trans. It's a black trans. We can never just have a black person in the film just doing something. It's always serving multiple purposes. For me, it always feels like checklist things. Like, there's a certain actor, a trans actor that's being used in a lot of things. They play in Loot, they're in Pose. She literally marked so many boxes where I'm like, okay, and I don't think that she's the best actor.
You're talking about MJ?
Yeah. Yes.
I want to say Rodriguez. I don't know if it's MJ or Michaela. I can't think of her name right now.
It's okay. But they're in Pose, they're in Loot. There's only one trans actor in both of those things. I mean, well, in Loot. Anyways, doesn't matter. Not the best actress I've ever seen, but she checks off 3 boxes. She's a trans. She's black. She's Latina. So put her in everything. And it's like I'm tired of checkmark lists. So to see this movie and to see the cast and to see the variations of black people that they use, the variations of women and men, cool, ugly, whatever, I enjoyed seeing that type of lineup without knowing that there's a checklist when someone's sitting there waiting to mark this off, right? We had Eartha Kitt showing and representing, older age beauty. We just had a little bit of everything at the time.
Grace Jones, more androgynous black woman.
Right. Right, she is an androgynous woman. Right, exactly.
But again, I don't want you to feel like, because I'm not trying to misconstrue what you say, but just emphasis that we definitely support black transgender actors and actresses. But we're saying is that we don't like the check mark when you have to say here like, how can I get all these issues in one aspect and then just check it off, because you're not really doing it justice, because you're taking a character just trying to
squeeze them and condense them down into one instead of hiring 3 separate people. Instead of having like multiple representations.
Absolutely, and for me, because again, I always love seeing them, especially black trans actresses and black trans actors, male and female. I just, or even somebody non-binary, I just feel like I don't like when they're used as a token. Like, because why would we continue to use these beautiful actors, beautiful people as tokens,
exactly,
and then try to force this weird plot into the stories, and vice versa. Like,
and as a black woman, there's also a space, where black women aren't represented in films properly yet. Still, I mean, black women, not Zoe Saldana playing a black woman. I'm talking about black women, dark skin, 4C hair, etc. We're already not represented. So when I watch certain films and I don't see black female representation, but there's black trans woman representation, I wonder, why is there no black female representation? Why did we stop the list right there? Did you say to yourself when you were making this script, oh, we got a trans and a black and a woman technically, so we're good. You know what I'm saying? I want there to be more roles, more opportunities for everybody. I'm definitely not against the trans community. I support them as well. I get it. I might have come off a little harsh on it, but it wasn't that I don't support the trans community. It's just that I want to see more representation, and I want the checklist to go away, because it's not doing anything. They use a checklist as a teaching moment to be like, we got a trans, we're teaching the world how to be open. We got someone in a wheelchair, we're teaching the world how to acknowledge disabilities. And it's like, that's not enough. In the real world, these people exist, and we don't have to.
And they have an actual story. They're not just a side character that you just put in there to say, we did it.
Right.
See, we're open.
Right. Exactly. There's more meaning behind it. So, anyways, Boomerang. Sorry, I took us to the list. But Boomerang, excellent film, excellent cast. I mean, these were all stars before they knew they were all stars. So to see them as basically baby actors doing all of their comedic improv type lines, I know Tisha Campbell had to have some improv lines. I know them lines. They had to say, you know what, just be the jealous neighbor, and then she had to just be like, I got this, because it was too funny. It was too funny. I loved the film. I loved it so much. Was there anything you didn't like about this film?
Anything I didn't like? I don't know. I don't feel like there was anything I didn't like.
Them commercials though were kind of crazy.
They were crazy, but I feel like they fit. They're supposed to be avant-garde, you know. And
they were very avant-garde. I was like, no, is she giving birth to something? Oh, a perfume bottle. Oh, and then she kisses it. It just
strange.
Interesting. But outside of that, everything else was pretty top notch with this film. Even down to Eddie Murphy's game to get Layla Rashawn in the beginning. He was smooth. Oh, he was smooth.
Act like he had a dog. Sick. Just a liar. I don't like that. I don't like how they made it okay for him to be a liar.
I know, but he was so good at it.
That's none of my business.
Stop playing with us. Anywho. All right, Cameron, anything else you want to add to it?
No, I say check out the movie. It's on what streaming service is it on right now?
We just watched it on Amazon.
On Amazon right now.
But your parents probably got it in a VHS. So borrow a VHS player and then borrow the VHS and then watch the movie if you can't get it on Amazon. Thanks again for watching the Black Cinema Experience podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. Bye.